Good evening, friends. On behalf of Universal Booksellers, we invite you to yet another evening of Meet the Author, an interactive session with Mr. Anil Rajvanshi. And Universal Booksellers has been around we have a proud lineage of over 8 to 9 decades. And what was started by my father in the 30s, we are now into the 4th generation, and we've been successfully navigating the challenges that have come across our way. A lot has changed, lot is changing in the book trade, and we are also adjusting ourselves to, and we started this interactive sessions about 15-20 years back, where we had authors, and there was an interest among the citizens as well to meet people and understand the mind behind the authors, and we understand the subjects that they wrote so passionately about. So we've come a long, long way. Earlier there were professional booksellers. Now there are people who are selling books. You can sell books in the ambience of a mall. You can sell books on the pavement, but professional book selling is a very, very different art and a science as well. And we have stuck to book selling. We are professional booksellers, and we have survived all these years. And I'm very grateful that Anilji thought of us when he wrote this book, and he wanted us to have it released in our bookstore. So I'm very grateful to you. We welcome you on behalf of Lucknowites and from Universal Booksellers. Would like to present Manav a bouquet, please. Manav is the 3rd generation. He and my son Gaurav are the 3rd generation, and now his son is now into the 4th generation. Now before we proceed, it is, as per the official norms, it is very, very important for people, though he knows everybody. He is part of this city as much as we are. I think we were neighbors, in fact, but he's been telling that he used to stay in Lal Bagh. So we are actually neighbors, and we go a long, long way. 1 year apart from our year of birth. But as a part of the Aupcharikta, as they call it, I would just like to briefly, he's a very accomplished man, and it doesn't fit into one page, but a small essay of what he's all about. Anil K. Rajvanshi is a spiritual engineer, a mechanical engineering graduate of IIT Kanpur in the early 70s. He went to United States for higher studies. In a fit of madness and arrogance, he left a very lucrative career in the United States and came back in 1981 to rural India, thinking that he will change India. India did not change, but he changed. In the process of developing renewable energy technologies for rural areas, he discovered himself and the great spiritual traditions of India. He runs a small rural NGO called Nimkar Agricultural Research Institute in Phaltan, Maharashtra, and does R&D in renewable energy, rural and sustainable development. For his work on renewable energy and sustainable development, he has won many prestigious national and international awards. In 2022, he was given one of India's highest civilian award, Padma Shri. Congratulations. He also has a passion for writing articles on the interplay of spirituality and technology, and has published more than 200 articles in various newspapers and newslines. He is passionate about teaching youngsters and gives inspirational lectures all over India and abroad. That's Anilji for all of us. In a passive form. He will elaborate what he is. And before we proceed further, in fact, the weather gods have played truant, and the books have arrived in Lucknow but not reached the go down of the transporter because it was waterlogged. The godowns were waterlogged because of the downpour last night. So the trucks have not been unloaded. So books have not been able to reach our bookstore, but they will probably reach tomorrow morning. And we will take your numbers, and probably those who would like to, we'll have it delivered to your house as a special case. So we would like to now invite Vishen please, and Anilji, like to unveil and release the book. आप और अनिल जी.
studied in the same school as I did, and वैसे तो मैं इनका सीनियर हूँ स्कूल में, लेकिन असली दुनिया में he has far excelled me. I'm very happy.
Anil, your mic is on. On कर दो. Anil ji, your book Exploring the World of God. You have a very strong Lucknow connect, and most of you know, but for the purpose of people who are not very conversant with you, we would love to hear from you about your Lucknow connect and your journey from your school days to where you are today. And whether, another question added to that is, did you ever realize where you would reach? Was it a planned journey, or was it a journey which just happened and you suddenly found yourself where you are today?
Thank you very much, Rajendra ji. First of all, I would really like to thank you for hosting this. You've been very gracious. Chander ji is a very enlightened human being. I happened to spend an hour today, and I realized he is also very enlightened, very spiritual. So this is something I'm so delighted that you are the one who is actually releasing the book, that we're having discussion. Secondly, I would like to thank my friend Pradeep. He set the ball in motion of who, where, etc. Pradeep's father and my father were very close friends, so our relationship goes way beyond. And since you have asked about my Lucknow connection, I was born and raised in 1950 in Lucknow, where LIC building is, that used to be the Koti where I was born. My father went to jail with Gandhiji, and in 1946 he came out of the Lucknow jail. He was caught in Delhi, but he came out from Lucknow jail. And in 46 he liked Lucknow so much that he decided to settle. So my father, his name was Shri Chander Prakash. He and Bahuguna, he was the second string of leadership, and he was the protege of Rafi Ahmed Chowdhury. So when he got out, he and Keshav Dev Malviya started the press together. And that press is where the Koti was. And Nehruji called him, Keshav Dev Malviya, to Delhi as a general secretary. So he closed the press, and that Koti became our house, and that is where I was born in 1950. I studied in Cathedral and St. Francis. I did my senior Cambridge in those times. So mine was the last, probably whatever it is, and 66. and then I went to IIT Kanpur. There was a junoon to become an engineer. I'll tell you about it. And at the age of 13, because my father was Gandhiji's very disciple, etc. So at the age of 13, on my 13th birthday, he gave me a birthday present in Hindi, autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi. And that book simply changed my life. I used to be first and second in my class in St. Francis, and I just simply left everything and read and reread. Now you can imagine at the age of 13 how much you can understand what Gandhiji did, etc. But his early life, his experiments of truth which started his early life, tamasha, started the ball rolling. And then I started reading spiritual books from Acharya Narendev. At the age of 14, there was this tremendous janoon to read the great spiritual tradition of India. How it happened, I do not know. There must be some sanskar. How much you understand at the age of 14, that is also one doesn't know. But there was a great desire. And then actually the spiritual thing, and I started meditating, and we started having a lot of interesting spiritual experiences. And then the IIT came, and then the IIT, everything went to the back burner. From IIT, I got actually, because of my strong education, etc., my JE was 29th when I entered IIT. And in fact, I was a topper from Lucknow. And then from IIT Kanpur, I went to United States for higher studies because I wanted to be a teacher. Always my life, I wanted to be a teacher. I'm still a teacher. And United States, I went to one of the very famous University of Florida. I did my PhD under the world-renowned solar energy expert, because solar energy was just coming up. It was not even very well known in 1972-73. And I did my PhD. And I taught there for 2.5 years. And in a fit of madness and arrogance, because all my classmates are big shots in Silicon Valley. And I was rising star, I was on the tenured track position, I was teaching there. There must be some stupid thing somewhere happening. But in a fit of madness and arrogance, I left everything and came to rural Maharashtra. Rural Maharashtra because my wife comes from that area. My wife's great-grandfather was Maharishi Karve. Her grandmother was Iravati Karve. So we both wanted to come to India. I've always found that if both husband and wife are in the same wavelength, then things happen. So whatever I am today is also because of my wife. I asked her to come, but she... So, madness because I felt that I can do something with my knowledge. Arrogance that I will change India. I will change India by my solar energy, etc. And how foolish I was. Gandhiji, who was the greatest social scientist of this century and so many centuries, who could not change, who was I? What an arrogance. This janoon made me come to it. It was a very tough journey. I came to a place from where to make a phone call I would sometimes hop on the bus, go to Pune, which was 4 hours journey by bus, and make phone calls. Coming from one of the finest schools in Lucknow, St. Francis, to one of the finest institutes in the country, IIT Kanpur, to one of the very major universities in America, is now the 5th most prestigious university in the United States right now. And then jumping back to rural Maharashtra. So I think it was a detoxification of Anil Rajvanshi. The forces that took. So I have always considered in my life that whatever the forces tell you to do, do it. So I never planned my journey. It happened. And the janoon makes you do things which are something, because then the focus is your work. And when you do that, because I have been a great reader of history, of great people, I have had a great satisfaction of meeting some of the stalwarts. In fact, you must have read in the history books, the father of rocket was Von Braun. I had a great satisfaction of spending time with him. The father of hydrogen bomb was Stanley Ulam, one of the greatest scientists and the mathematician. he was my colleague. So I have rubbed shoulders with all these very great people. And in all of them I found a tremendous amount of genuine, tremendous amount of what is called as a focus. So everything, all the pinpricks vanished. So probably that is how it happened. The life was not smooth curve, but the genuine made it smoother. And I think the first thing I did was to buy a piece of land at a throwaway price because nobody wanted land at that place and build a house. And so the roots were set up. Even if I wanted to go, I couldn't. And because of the spiritual leaning that I had at the age of 13, 14, it remained at the back of my mind. So when I came back to rural India, saw things happening, then I realized that this is where I should be looking at. Spirituality allowed me to get away from the lot of problems of other things because it focuses your mind on doing something which is very noble. And so all the pinpricks go away. So spirituality, writing, etc. So the Times of India publish around 120, 30 articles of mine in Speaking Tree, and Huffington Post, and Thrive Global, all these people when they started. So this has been a very interesting journey. And I feel very blessed that God gave me a small place to think, contemplate, reflect, and write.
That's a tremendous journey. I think from IIT Kanpur to the United States as a specialist in renewable energy and now into spirituality, what a transformation. I think what is it that is left out? But what incited you to write this book, Exploring the Mind of God, where I'm told you talk of spirituality, technology and sustainability. What is it that enthused you to write about this book? Is it a throwout of what you had inside you, or was it a kind of a guideline for others to follow your footsteps, or showing the light and the darkness?
I have always believed that all of us come on this planet Earth for gaining knowledge, and that knowledge should be shared very liberally. That's how the evolution of mankind, the evolution of societies take place. And so whatever I have learned little bit, I said I will share it. There's nothing to, I have never believed in this that I am going to change the world or anything. That detoxification took long. What I have done is all my writings, all my work in renewable energy, etc. is just, in fact, I don't know how many of you know that I am the originator of the electric rickshaw that you see thousands of them.
Really? Oh, that's
So you know the way about. It's a very remarkable story. You should read in my book called Romance of Innovation. So we started the work in 1995 and we pioneered the development. At that time, nobody in the world thought about electric cycle rickshaws. And it's a very fascinating journey. All these hero people and the TI cycles, they all wanted electric cycles and I was telling them, go for electric rickshaw. Rahul Bajaj used to be a very good dear friend of mine. I told him, I said, the rickshaw is the future, is the number. And today you see lakhs of these rickshaws. And we are very proud. It was copied by CSI. There's a very fascinating story. I wish I'll send you my books now. Okay? So I think you are a very good. Yes, and these books are published by me. So
the other books apart from
yes, there are 4 of them.
Oh.
So this is what I do. I don't do anything except write books. So I will send them. You can keep them here. In fact, I gave just in June a very distinguished lecture to the whole Tata Group. So the chairman and 40 CEOs of the top companies were in my lecture. I was the chief guest. And the whole idea was how corporates can help the rural areas.
In fact, I just buttoned him. Yesterday, he was at IIT Kanpur, where he was felicitated by his alma mater, and he also gave a lecture.
The institute lecture. The institute lectures are the most prestigious lectures.
And yesterday, he's coming from Kanpur. In fact, he was felicitated by IIT Kanpur for his work.
So they gave me the most distinguished alumnus award. Anyway, so these are very small things. understanding the mind of God is the highest goal, and that is what I mean. So this electric rickshaw, because I'll send you the books because then you can really. So it's a very fascinating story. CSR, copy, read, etc., all sort of things. And so I have always believed that it should be, knowledge should be freely available. And this is something which I do for my writings and with my work. And everything is available on our website. And now I'll talk a little bit, what made you write the book. So if you bear with me for 5 minutes, because this will give you some sort of a flair on what. This book is a distillation of all my writings on spirituality, technology and sustainability. And when you ask that question, I live a very sustainable life. I have shown with my own the way I live. I spend around 1/5 to 1/6 the energy that an average American spends, and I think I live a very happy, very modern life, and one can do that. And in fact, my writing on that has become very well known. In fact, in some universities in the United States, it is a compulsory reading, or how to live sustainably. Because Gandhiji taught us that if you have to preach something, you should live like that. And I have tried to do that. It is still a work in progress. It's not something that has happened overnight. The theme of the book also reflects my personal spiritual journey. I believe all books are autobiographical in nature, and this is no different. I will talk about it later on. The world is going through tremendous crisis. On one hand, it must cope with ever-increasing pandemics like COVID, flu, HIV, etc. And on the other hand, the earth warming trend is creating large-scale climate catastrophes with unseasonal heavy rains, flash flooding, heat waves, large-scale forest fires, etc. And the rains in Lucknow, who would have thought in September, middle of September, you will have such heavy rains. A lot of things are changing. I have my own theories because I did a lot of work in cloud physics, and I know what is happening, but that is something which we can discuss or talk about later on. Both these issues have created an element of fear and have played havoc with the general well-being and happiness of mankind. They are also an outcome of our unsustainable lifestyle. Sustainable living and happiness should start with each one of us, as Gandhiji taught us, and if we make them as the central issues in our lives, then we can make the world a better place for future generations. We should therefore continuously strive to develop systems and mechanisms to achieve those goals. Both happiness and sustainable living can be achieved by spirituality and judicious use of technology, and thus happiness, sustainable living and technology are related to spirituality. This combination has therefore led me to the inquiry regarding the whole purpose of life and ultimately about universal consciousness, or basically the mind of God. Thus, in a sense, this book is about exploring the larger issues of life and cosmos aided by spirituality and technology. I started writing about the book, about these issues 20 years ago. In fact, my first article came in 2000 in Times of India on how spirituality and technology is related. And that was, to my mind, the first article that ever was published. And after that, all the so-called spiritual gurus now talk about spirituality and technology. But that is the nature of these gurus, who copy and never say from where it came. These articles were published in Speaking Tree column, in Huffington Post, Thrive Global, South Asia Monitor, and as syndicated articles in various newspapers and newsletters. Some of these articles were published in 2004 in my first book entitled Nature of Human Thought. And I was telling you about the Tatas thing. Tatas was so inspired by the book Romance of Innovation. So there were 175 top people of Tatas. Each one of them was given that book. So the chairman, Chandrasekhar, said each one of you should read, and that is how we will work on sustainability. So I think slowly people are trying to understand some of these things. All these articles that I wrote, they were all standalone articles and were well received by readers. Hence I thought of putting most of them together in one place, and this book is an outcome of that. As stated earlier, the theme of the book also reflects my personal journey. My spiritual journey started at the age of 13, as I said, And I have written in detail about in Article 33 what experiences I got, etc., etc. The initial journey was about self-discovery and training of the mind through meditation, which led to getting some very interesting spiritual experiences. As the mind became stronger and powerful, the yearning for experience and knowledge started. This was the mind-expanding phase, which was also helped by my education as an engineer and especially solar engineer. Engineering opened new vistas and expanded my vision field. The learning of solar energy principles in engineering and related development in the United States gave me the knowledge about environment and instilled in me the love of nature. I think we should close our mobile phones. This is a great curse of modern times, and we have become reactors. Humans are known for contemplation, reflection. Animals react. We react. After I came back from United States, I continued this journey of exploration and improving my immediate environment through technology. This in turn made me look at my spiritual yearnings in a new light. During the US days, as my mind expanded with new experiences and information, it started on the journey of learning about space, gravitation and stars. I felt it was a natural progression of a curious and powerful brain. In fact, I became so interested in Einstein's gravitation theory that my professors told me that if you take one more course in physics, mathematics, we'll shift you from mechanical engineering to aerospace or to physics. Thus, what I have written in this book reflects my personal journey in the matters of spirituality, technology, happiness and understanding the laws of nature, which hopefully may lead to understanding the mind of God. I think we are mediums. All of us who speak, I think we are mediums. We have this arrogance that is we who are producing this. The knowledge exists. We become mediums. Positive or negative, but we are all mediums. So I have always considered that whatever I write and whatever I think, and whatever I feel, I may be a medium of getting that knowledge from the knowledge space and passing through my handwriting. This book is also about my desire to understand the world around me and to make a head or tail of it. With my limited efforts, I have experienced joy in making some headway and hence thought of sharing it with the readers. I have experienced sometimes the truth, and when you experience the truth, it's a very, very joyful thing. It's really remarkable. And I wish one would get into a time when it will be a continuous process, not in fits and bounds. But I have experienced that. I hope this book also inspires some bright and dedicated young students. In fact, this book has been written for very bright students who want to do things differently and where the focus is not money, but leading a fulfilling and happy life. The book is slightly difficult to read, but I am sure such students will be challenged by it. The book is divided into 3 sections. The first section has 33 essays on how to make the mind powerful so that the inner peace results. A happy and contented mind then sees the world accordingly. The second section has 15 essays on how to improve the environment through technology so it becomes livable and sustainable. No matter how contented the mind is, its power is enhanced many times if it encounters a pleasant, healthy and sustainable environment. I have always wondered why we produce such a great philosophical thought in this country. Have you wondered about that? Would you think that in this modern kachada we would produce great thought? India was a very great country with almost everything, infinite resources. So our old rishis, munis must have had everything. So when you have everything, then you think of higher things. And I think making the environment livable makes it. After all, a lot of great ideas come from for people whose stomach are full, who have everything and who can think of higher things. And I've been very fortunate with where I live. I think I live a very nice life, small place, but I can think. So this is what I have put in my book. And the last section, which contains 15 essays, is about exploring space, the last frontier, which I believe can help in joining the individual with the universal consciousness and ultimately in understanding the mind of God. I also believe, and this is very important, that the ultimate aim of mankind is to become a galaxy-traveling civilization. In ancient times, there were gods who came from heaven, but with advancement of technology guided by spirituality, we will all ultimately become gods. I really feel that. Because I think ultimately we will all be a great technology flourish. And spirituality allows us to utilize the technology because it gives us wisdom to use it very efficiently. This is the reason why I wrote the book.
We can all become God. That's a very exciting sentence.
Yes, it is.
And then the other sentence which I got fascinated with is thinking is a luxury and fortunate are those who have the capacity to think. I think that's a great thought. You've talked a lot about science and spirituality and technology, but science is often is at the crossroads of trying to fathom the depth of spirituality. Spirituality is actually a state, and science is trying to fathom the depth of spirituality, and it has been chasing it for quite some time. Will the twain ever meet? Because spirituality is not chasing science, it is science which is trying to find the depth of spirituality. It's like trying to find the depth of an ocean. Science is maneuvering itself. Spirituality is there where it is. So will the twain ever meet? Will science ever be able to catch up with spirituality? You have all kinds of metaphysics, and you have quantum physics, and you have all kinds of theories going around. But the basic impact is they're trying to logically explain what spirituality is already there, is already achieved.
This book is all about that. I've had the great distinction of meeting a lot of Nobel laureates, very top people. And anytime you go deeply into anything, that is spirituality. Patanjali, there's one sentence in Patanjali's whole, everything is a commentary, but the essence is focus on a single subject for a very, very long time gives you the knowledge of the subject. Everything else is commentary. This is the basis of Patanjali Yoga Darshan. When you go deeper into anything, that is where the spirit comes. The spirit is nothing else but that focus vanishes and the ruh remains. All of us are looking towards finding the truth. When I met all these people, I used to ask them, I said, what have you achieved? And a lot of them said that we are seeking the truth, and when you start going for the truth, then we all become spirituals. Einstein, when he died, he had a lot of books on Indian philosophical thought. He was a very spiritual human being. He was a very, very great admirer of Gandhi. I have personal experiences of my father's friend who went and talked with Einstein, and who had in fact, maybe I should tell, he was a very dear friend of my father. They were both in jail. His name was Ratanlal Joshi. Ratanlal Joshi was a very famous, he was a raider of Hindustan. So in 1953, and Ratanlal Joshi was himself telling me this story. So in 1953, he got a Eisenhower Fellowship. Eisenhower Fellowship in those times was very famous, were very good fellowships, because India had just become independent, and very few people were selected for that. So he said, I want to go and meet Einstein. Einstein never gave appointments to anybody because he was getting very old. But he knew that here is a man who is close associate of Gandhiji, so he immediately gave 45 minutes appointment. So Ratanlal Joshi went and met Einstein. And Einstein started asking him questions. Does Gandhi laugh? Does Gandhi do this? So Joshi, and he was telling me this, Joshi just felt that he will ask whether Gandhi goes to the toilet, whether Gandhi does this, etc. And he says, my 45 minutes were just going away. So he said, let me ask you a question. For all of us youngsters who were in jail, he knew that you were the starter of atomic bomb. And Einstein got so upset, absolutely red in his face. And the interview was, because he valued his pacifism tremendously. And he always felt very guilty of putting the signature on that letter which went to Missouri. Anyway, the reason why I'm saying is that all these people, the great people, they are basically spiritual at heart. Why spiritual? Because they are all looking for growth. And when you go deeper into anything, then the demarcation of the spirituality, science, everything vanishes. We are all going towards the same thing, and this is exactly what I have tried to do. Because when you do this analysis in the brain, when you start thinking very deeply, then things start happening. And then you start seeing things which otherwise you would not see. Because of our arrogance, because of our thinking that we know everything, we don't see the opportunities exist, the path exists, but we don't see it. And when this happens, when you start seeing a lot of these things. So I am a firm believer that spirituality, science, technology, all of them are the same. And ultimately, in fact, I have written in my book that the necessary condition for us to become a very, very advanced technological civilization will happen when we become also very spiritual. Because spirituality allows us to utilize the technology in a very positive way, very efficiently and in a very nice way. So there is no difference.
You know, you talk so much about the synergy between science, technology, and interdependence and spirituality for success. But spirituality or a spiritual journey for any individual is not a method. It's not a method to achieve results or to success or anything like that. Spirituality is a divine attraction. It's nature's attraction for itself, and it is basically an attraction of a tremendous divine energy where it draws oneself towards the self. It's a maddening madness of the highest form of divine attraction. That is the spiritual journey which normally people relate it to. It's not a method. But yet, spirituality has become a profession in the sense that people are using spirituality as a profession, as a kind of a course in management, like in technology. You yourself have written this book, basically how spirituality can influence technology. My purpose is that if you become spiritual, you become thoughtless. And when you become thoughtless, it is devoid of any purpose or any goal in front of it, save being one with the oneself. But yet, you talk about it very strongly in terms of using that spiritual reservoir in the reverse direction. It's like a fish flowing in the opposite direction.
No, but I don't make the distinction. You see, whatever I have written in the book is my personal journey. When I start thinking very deeply about certain things, then all the pinpricks vanish. You don't show off. You start living very simply. And that to me is a spiritual journey. I have never imposed my spirituality on anyone. I never tell anybody about it, because I'm not producing a new ism. In fact, the greatest tragedy of this world have happened because of messiahs producing the ism. We are all seekers of truth. We are all seeking what is the ultimate. Maximum I can do, I have spent a little more time on this, is to show the finger to the seekers. We are all in the same boat. And so this tamasha that happens in the peta and etc. are the people who are selling something in the name of spirituality. And they are not spiritual people at all. They are not gurus at all. They are absolutely frauds. I am sorry to say that. Because if you are really into this, you will not try to make others change their ways. You give them something, it is up to them. Because each one of us have their own journeys, each one of us have their own goals. And you can pick up things just like you go to a market, you pick up things what you need sometimes. Most of the times it is a very different thing because of the insecurities you buy the need. I've seen this in my own life. When I came back to America, this tremendous thing that I should have this, I should have that. I live a very simple life. The last 15-20 years we have not stopped. Yes, of course we need for manjan and etc. But we have just gotten out of that. Not for anything else, we have enough money. We have
But sustainability.
exactly. It automatically comes up. So what I'm trying to say in this book and what I'm trying to tell people is that when you start on this journey, it starts showing you a lot of very interesting things. The main thing is to look at things in a very deeper manner. And when you do that, after all, I was a mechanical engineer. I became very interested in gravitation. I became very interested in space. I used to give seminars on some of these things in the United States, where a very big physics department was there. It was just a great joy in interacting and trying to find out where we are going. What is exactly the future of mankind? What exactly is happening? This is a very higher level. And I think all of us have the ability to remove these mundane things, because we get so attached to this mundane process that we don't think deeply. And when you think deeply, then suddenly you realize, what the hell was I doing for so many years? And I have had a large number of people come to me, both in IITs and etc., IIMs when I teach, sir, we are burnt out, etc. And now we realize that. Everybody has their own way.
Chandra, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Just one question. Since you mentioned Einstein,
Yes.
Einstein was a spiritual person, deeply spiritual person,
Yes.
but he did not believe in God. So,
Who says that?
he himself has
No,
said-
no.
Yeah,
You have not read it.
He
He believed in God.
okay.
He believed in this, this very old sect of the Jewish sect, which is the world, the God is this infinite universe. This is beautiful universe.
Okay.
So he has written very clearly, you read his books,
Achha.
I believe in God, but I believe in that God which shows the beauty of the nature, the beauty of how cosmos is.
Huh. I stand corrected to that extent. He believed in God, but not as in form or as a
Yeah, because
person.
that's a lower level.
Huh.
So people-
So when you're exploring the mind of God,
I thought a lot. I said, what should I put in place of God?
okay.
God is a word. I would have thought maybe I should put nature. Possible. But then again, people would have thought that, what is nature, etc. So, I'm open for a better name.
That's what I thought.
Okay, some people have said that.
Okay.
How do you correlate the ancient Indian wisdom and the texts and the philosophy that we are so proud of to the contemporary current technology and the current contemporary science that we are seeing in today's times?
Since I'm an engineer and a scientist, so I look at all these things from the scientific point of view. Because science is a very powerful tool. There's a leap of faith by Einstein. I don't know how many of you know about the science, about the gravitation. So there's fantastic things that he did, just mental. And then he said that based upon the equivalence principle, it should happen like that. And then he developed theories. Now the question is that science allows you that you may have a leap of faith, but when you reach that position, the things that you observe, they should match your leap of faith. So I started asking myself the question that if those things what we have been written, and I have focused more on Patanjali Yoga because I read extensively on all the commentaries available and everything. You see, all these books came to us. How many years ago these books came to us? Just a question. When did you see these books in the print? 500 years ago, 600 years ago. Because that's where they were written. They may have been written 5,000 years ago. We don't even know where Patanjali was when he wrote the book. It was all word of mouth. If in this room, if he says one word, and he asks everybody else to pass that word, by the time it will come here, it will be totally changed. We are talking about very small time. There we are talking about thousands of years. So when I read, there are some very interesting things in the Patanjali Yoga, but I think a lot of people who did not understand, because he was a great scientist, a lot of people put in things which they did not understand. So I started looking between the lines, and some of the things that I saw, amazing. How some of the Einsteins thought about time, the motion, the mass. It's very amazing what Patanjali wrote and what I was able to decipher. And that I think is, I feel very proud that some of these gems I could.
There are very few Einstein or Mahatma Gandhi or Anil Rajvanshi.
No, Mahatma Gandhi and Einstein.
What happens to the mass? How do they are stuck in the daily life? How do they kind of get out of this thing and become or aspire or become actually the person that you're talking about?
I'm not unique, and I think each one of us can do that. So if I have gained some experience, that's what I am trying to share. When I talk to the youngsters in IITs and etc., there is a desire to do something like that, and they are doing it. It is a long process, and I am very much sure that this country, which is a great country, which produced Gautam Buddha and Ashoka and Mahatma Gandhi, and between Jainism and Sikhism, full of such people, we have not been able to identify. It's my great desire to get all of them together, because this is how we make this country the great country. You know? Not by dividing, but by bringing everything together. And all of you who are teachers and etc., you should teach that. Because this division is something which will destroy this.
So what you said about yourself, limiting your desires, should I say, or just focusing on your basic needs, that is what has made you what you are. But that is something which is very difficult to accomplish.
I don't think so. I have achieved it, everybody can achieve it. I'm not unique. That will be a very sad state of affairs. Nobody is unique.
I don't know.
You don't miss out.
Huh?
You don't miss out anything.
I'll tell you a very interesting thing. I came back in 81 and I didn't go back to the United States till 87 because I felt, yeah, at least I should show something. Why the hell I left everything and I came. So 87 when we did something interesting in our research institute, then I went back just to talk. When I came back, there was one full suitcase of a lot of small things that I missed because I was in America for 7 years. And, you know, at the time professor and etc. You know, you start. And now the bag is very small. Most of it is packed with my homeopathic medicines. I don't buy anything. This happens at the time. Missing out happens when you really crave for something. When the craving goes away. I'll give you an example. I was a chief guest in a very major conference in Malaysia. There is this very famous place which is well known for shopping in Malaysia. Some island or something. Malaysia. There is a Phuket or some, you know, so anyway. So very, you know, fancy resort, this international conference, and I was a chief guest. So after the conference, so I asked the organizers, what are the places where we can hike? So he says, you are the first Indian who wants to hike rather than go for shopping. He couldn't believe it. He says, what type of nonsense you are? So I think it just becomes, you know, we don't even talk about it, we don't even feel about it. What is it to?
It comes naturally. Well, when you are content, I think you cannot just go for that.
Yeah,
It comes naturally.
But all of us, this is should be our responsibility to teach these things to the youngsters because they are the future of the country.
That's what not happening. That's not happening.
That not happening, but that is what great responsibility. So anytime anybody invites me in the college, school, I go and talk. Because I also believe that youngsters are smart. If they are shown the right direction, they will follow it. If it is we who have failed, not they all smart. Yesterday when I gave a talk around 150, 200, including the director and the whole teams, everything was there. And the number of questions that the youngsters asked was very hard. So it's going to change. It will take time. In fact, one guy said, sir, you are the first person who talks about the nation. He says, we get an IIT, you will get so much package if you join this, you will get so much package. He says, you talk about the nation. So I said, is there something wrong with it? He says, no. He says, because we got inspired. So what I'm saying is that this should happen more and more. And I am not unique. I am sure there are a large number of people in this country who do that. And who feel for them. See, if we don't understand and are attached to the story of India, who will be? We should be attached to the story of India. That's what.
Thank you very much. Most enlightened.
Anilji, it's been a
Why
wonderful...
did you give this a Coca-Cola? You say
I just thought it was actually getting hot coffee and tea would have been a problem. By the time we served it, it would have become cold. So I think rather it was a better option of giving you a cold drink. So Anilji, it's been a great privilege and a pleasure to have you with us, and it's been a great opportunity. It's of course books आपकी नहीं आ पाई हैं, वो कल आ जाएंगी, तो we will try to make amends and we will try to spread the word around, and people who want to like a number लिखवा देंगे तो हम घर पे भिजवा देंगे आप लोगों के, and we'll work it out. बेटे राजू, आपके एक सबके numbers ले लो, जो देना चाहें आपको लिखवा लेना, फिर we will have it sent. Of course इनके personal signatures उस पे नहीं होंगे, so that I think we'll use modern technology to probably But I wish, and this is a topic of spirituality and relevance to our current times, can go on and on and on. I think with your great input and your experiential learning, what you have come a long, long way. I think there's a lot more that can further happen. Probably we can have more discussions when the next time you are coming in a more informal way. And
no, but why don't you not have like this? Maybe we can have something.
Yes.
And then it should not be a monologue. It should be a discussion.
Everybody has so much to say on it, and everybody has so much personal experience. I mean, it may be valid for the others or may not be valid, but everybody has a.
You should not be a judge.
Yes. ये सारी जर्नी तो हर आदमी की एक टू लर्न टू एक्सपीरियंस ही तो है, कोई आगे कोई पीछे, लेकिन सफर तो उसी तरफ है, सभी का है.
I'll tell you an interesting thing. My wife's grandmother was an American, white American, and her name was Elizabeth Lundy, and she changed it to Kamala Nimkar after marrying my wife's grandfather. And my wife's grandfather was a Gandhian. In fact, he got a bachelor's in engineering from Columbia University in 1929. So he told her that if you want to live in India, you have to live on 1 paisa per day. No, this is very stupid. She came from a very distinguished family of bankers from uptown, Newtown in Pennsylvania. So he said, how can I do that? She says, go and live with Gandhiji. So she was the only other non-white woman besides Mirabai. So she had a lot of letters from Gandhiji. So Gandhiji was a very strange person, because my father's friends were very close associates, so I had a great sense of honor of knowing. I always used to ask, because I was born 2.5 years after Gandhiji. So I never knew him in flesh and blood. So I used to always ask him, how was he as a person? So my wife's grandmother, I met her and I inquired. So Gandhi was a very strange person in the ashram. Only the girls were asked to write their dreams. Every day there was a diary of dreams. No boys, only girls. And the next day the dreams were discussed. And she being American, she said, no, dreams are very private. And I'm not going to write about it. And there was a revolt. There was a maramari because this Meera Ben was a very neurotic woman. So she went belly up and she said, nobody says no to Gandhiji and this and that, and they all went to Gandhiji. Gandhiji said, if Kamala Ben does not want to write her dream, that's it. Why should we force her? That was the end of it. But he had that greatness. But otherwise, a lot of things, if he said something, is the ashramites people who really did like a army. It has been said, it has to be done. So these are very, lot of, I have the great...
I think there are so many more gems in his armory. I think we need a couple of more evenings and a more relaxed atmosphere. And
I don't drink, so this, I don't know what your relaxation for you is.
Relaxation means. I know. Why did you? Why did you say that? I mean.
Because it's a normal thing.
Vijay is smiling. So friends, thank you for being with us, all of you, and I'm sure we'll have many more such evenings with him whenever he plans to come. I mean, ये तो लखनऊ वाले हैं और लाल बाग वाले हैं, तो लाल बाग और हजरतगंज में कोई दूरी है नहीं, तो ये हमारे लोग हैं, हम जैसे हैं. So we welcome you, sir, and thank you so much. Thank you.